Maju, 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 maju.
Dr. Ikechi.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question because I understand that what's the role of the media is very vital,
Mhm.
and we have electronic media, which of course this an example of electronic media. Of
Yes.
course, we have the print media as well,
Mhm.
and also we must have to work. The media must have to identify with the IBMA because of the issues around the challenges which we have been speaking, even the economic issues that touches on poverty. We need to look at the poverty, which most of the farmers, that are the origin of the food and agricultural systems,
Mhm.
grappling with poverty, grappling with climate change issues, and this is a platform where knowledge can be shared. We need to understand. When Isaac was speaking, he mentioned about rural areas. There is so much underinvestment in rural areas. So I believe that we can, the radio match can, not just on coming up with strategies or outlining ways that we can present and also um, share knowledge on our rurality. Now, that will also help us to identify areas where rural infrastructure can be unlocked. Talking about rural infrastructure, we know about roads. Most of the rural areas have challenges with roads, and that also is a major challenge for farmers. Transporting their foods, logistic issues. What about the issues around water, clean water, pipeline water, safe water safety? What about siting of factories? Factories, industries. We're talking about bridging the gap between research and industry. I personally, yes, I'm an academic, but I wouldn't allow myself to be held tight by the four walls of my university or universities that I have affiliations with. What about inadequate access to markets? These are issues and unfair market conditions, which we have also seen with producers, farmers. After production, what happens? Those middlemen, they are the ones who take the chunk of the profits. And that is one of the ways that the business models that we are talking about will be able to tell us how this new technology called blockchain, which is also part of the fourth industrial revolution, it is real. It is real. This type of forum helps to share knowledge on not just the sophisticated technologies, which of course the AI tools, talking about the maybe drones, and then the blockchain comes in as well, which of course helps to ensure traceability. That's what about the indigenous technological solutions, which the smallholder farmers are used to? How do we help them to do well with that? So these issues about advancing their technology, and there is this discussion I'm having with President Kagara on trying to bring in. There is this candidate that I know. Fortunately, she's a professor and she knows a lot about entrepreneurship. And we have this Nigerian Stock Products Research Institute, which of course they have been empowered to bring about solar dryers in many regions in Nigeria. Nigeria is a force to reckon with. I was in discussion with Kagara and I told him, you must come to Nigeria this time around because you need to know that this country has a lot inside of it that we can tap. So the Nigerian Stock Product Research Institute actually is a facility which is into fabrication of some machines, technological solutions, which can are cheap, not so expensive, than to import those that will break down. And we must have spent money to import them. And also we will also spend money again to treat them or to bring them back
Mhm.
so that they will be used when they break down. And we'll also import expatriates to come and manage them. So why not gravitate towards building up of or fabrication of our own machines, which of course, the young people, that is also a way of rebranding agriculture for them. They love to see a more scientific and technologically driven agriculture. So rural areas have a weak infrastructure. And of course, the high production and transport costs, transaction cost issues. What about the HIV/AIDS issues? Ravaging a lot. What about the conflict issues? War, every war, even the Russia-Ukraine war affected Africa. What about the other area? And affecting farmers, not just Africa, the farmers. Now it was a time for us to begin to look into how can we invest in wheat production, wheat farming. We have regions that have promising opportunities, and we know that we cannot just rule out those sensor and AI powered devices, which of course we can even have them with the cooperation of our governments, NGOs, those in the diaspora. So we have the media. Radio Maju can be at the forefront of this advocacy. And what about the natural disaster issues, the climate change issues? A lot of farmers are being dispossessed of their lands. During COVID, we know that South African farmers were reporting. We had, I had to personally, we were working with those in Netherlands. Some of them wanted us to have that conversation to be ongoing so that we will begin to hear the complaints of the farmers during COVID. And we had, this tomato project. All around Africa, farmers were turning in their complaints. And those in South Africa were complaining that their farms, many farmers were reporting that their farms have been dispossessed. They were dispossessed of their lands. Now, after that time, there were flood issues in Nigeria. There was also these issues about locusts in the East African region. And we know that the farmers in Kenya and those also in Ethiopia, those in the Eastern African region, they had this attack, and it is hitting down on them. How do we also talk about what of the M-Pesa? The M-Pesa, which is one of the fintech, is really one of the fastest emerging fintech. At the moment, the Eastern African region is the fastest emerging region in the whole of Africa. They took over from West Africa just recently because West Africa were having a lot of issues, and you know about the Boko Haram issues. And the Eastern African are very, very, serious-minded right now. What about Tanzania? You can see Burundi. You can see Rwanda is even at the fore, and we can see Kenya. Kenya is actually, holding the flag high. Every technological solution that comes into Africa comes through Kenya. We have seen them, and this is. I'm giving a historical backing. I teach this. I research on this. And I know Ethiopia is also where the headquarters of the AU is. And lastly, can I talk about deforestation? How do we utilize all this knowledge, sharing about environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity? We've seen that these are options, viable options that we can leverage upon. And I'm bringing in what business ideas, business solutions to tell our people, enough is enough. We don't need to depend on foreign aid again. Can't we even develop a structure for tourism? Tourism, we know the global north, they want to come to Africa. We need to create that. We need to look into that option also. Even now, we are receiving abstract papers, not just from the scientific, not just from the academia, from industries. Turn in your research papers. Look at the specifications, the guidelines for submission. It's on the website. And then we will then begin to leverage on the ICT, which is, of course, a game changer, and also which is transforming, which holds a lot of potentials for transforming our agriculture space, the agribusiness sector.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I really thank Radio Maju. I read about you when we were invited for this interview, and you're doing an amazing work. And I wanted to say that whenever you find yourself in a hole, the first step to do is to avoid digging further. And I think
Pick yourself out,
yes, we Africans, we were lucky to realize that we're in a hole, but it was unfortunate that some people kept digging. So, and I want to use this narrative to come back to your question. How can the creative industry contribute? One is that the creative industry or media or whatever it is, the first contribution would be to direct energy to the right things. Because to stop publicizing what is wrong and majorly focus on what is right. Because today it has gone out of from impact, from values, and you know very well any society without values, it will be broken. Only it's a matter of time. So, and I think our social media, news and everything, it's been now of how do I get views? How do I make money? How do I be popular? Rather than doing the right things.
Exactly.
And I'll do this to showcase the example of how far our world, to what extent we have gone. You're in the US and you've seen the news of a gentleman, is it Clark, who was shot?
Yes, yes.
Because of his voice, because of his communication. To us, what he was doing was amazing. Talking to young people, informing young people to leave drugs. So, you know, it begins from step by step. Now our young people are using a lot of media. You look at, for example, you have a young kid in our societies, they have the phone, they have iPads. And when the biggest focus is about derailing these young people, we are spoiling our societies. So for me, step number one would to encourage the creative industry to avoid driving beat the young and old people into the wrong direction. And we focus on our energy, for example, talking about constructive discussions like this, educative content. So I hope you understand, you know, where I'm coming from. For me, this is my plea, my call, and also giving an opportunity and a platform, just like the way Radio Maju has done with the support of the Food Security Consortium. So we've been able to, you didn't know about AOTA, you didn't know about IBMA, but we are talking this, and we're in Africa. We are not running away from our problems. I'm not fighting to come to the US, though it's not bad, but I want to make a contribution to my country, my society, and Africa at large. Thank you.
Wow, what would we do without you, Mr. President? This is a fight that, like I said, it's all hands on deck, and this lies on the young people. So we have to find a way to drive this message home. There's nothing wrong with the dancing videos on TikTok. There's nothing wrong with eating bugs on YouTube. It drives the traffic, but what is driving the traffic? I think having an agricultural solution that will, bring a certain percentage of youth out of poverty is actually a very good thing. And they can go ahead and use that money from agriculture to do their TikToks. So it's related, but for some reason there's a disconnect, and I think that's why we're here, and that's why we can do this. Quick question to Dr. Ikechi. I know he's an academic. Maybe he can tell us how the diaspora community can leverage their resources and networks through platforms like this, like Radio Maju, to promote opportunities in the agricultural and sciences, agriculture and sciences.
Okay, thank you. Here, I know that question is connected to Isaac's response and the previous question he had already. So let me just add up to that. I want to say that there's a lot that can be done. There's a lot because it holds a lot of potential for economic growth and transformation. Yes. And we know about, let me paint a picture. I remember when I lived in South Africa during my postdoc, my students, a lot of them, I had up to 80 students in one class. And so they knew I was Nigerian. So they were asking me about the home video, about them and all that. So sometimes they would be mentioning the roles of the home video. It was, they really found my class interesting. Yeah. And you see, that is one of the areas that the brain engineering captured. That area where we, I was, and the people in my team and myself, we were looking at it as a major opportunity to advocate for the media capture this, not just in secondary school and university. Let's start from the primary school. Let them begin to hear that early. And if Radio Maju will inculcate some of these ideas. Of course, President Kagara had already mentioned this, time and time again. Looking at the arts and culture, we know agriculture is a primary sector, is a real sector, is a traditional sector. Every sector depends on the agriculture sector. The brain engineering idea encourages that if you are a lawyer or you are in the legal profession or medical profession, it's very good to be there. But do not forget that there is a sector that gave you that foundation, and is the agriculture space. So it's a primary sector. And that is where we begin to think about the business ideas. So, that is all about the IBMA as well. So going back again, talking about art and culture, talking about media and publishing, talking about design, talking about technology, talking about agriculture and other areas which may not be necessarily agriculture, but they are still vehicles. There are still vehicles that can drive the entire knowledge of the agriculture space. And of course, remember that agriculture is a world of its own. It's not just production. But what about processing? There are many ways processing, not just crops. And we know that cassava alone has primary derivatives. And there are business ideas within just producing flour from cassava chips. What about tapioca? There are many primary derivatives, secondary derivatives, tertiary derivatives. The byproducts, the alcohol that comes from cassava. A diabetic patient, so he ordered a drug from America during COVID, and he bought it 500 USD. And when the drug arrived, we looked at the back of the container, and we saw that it's bitter leaf. Bitter leaf is Vernonia amygdalina. Bitter leaf is a vegetable.
Oh man!
Vegetable. Why can't we produce that drug in Africa? Why can't we utilize that bitter leaf and kill that diabetes? What is going on with Africa? So this is IBMA, and it is that platform that can share some of these ideas. And then Radio Magic, your roles already. You can leverage these ideas. Thank you.
I think I have my work cut out for me. Originally, obviously, Radio Maju was designed as an entertainment channel, but of late we have morphed into other issues, serious issues. But these are issues that we have to leave. Even if we want to ignore or act like we ignore it, these issues that still affect us, and these issues that affect us on both sides of the continental divide. So we have to address them, and this is our time, and this is the work that we have to do. And I thank you very much for joining me once again, Dr. Ikechi Abuba and President Isaac Kagara, all the way in Rwanda and Nigeria. And I'm live coming to you right from Baltimore, Maryland. This is Radio Maju, the voice of diaspora. So I have two more questions, and they are more or less similar questions. And they are more or less in the vein of what we've been talking about. So to conclude, maybe President Kagara can tell us about how the upcoming IBMA in 2026, and Dr. Ikech can add on to that. But the two questions are, obviously, when it comes to innovating, there's a word that we have used in this show from my previous guest. He has an Africa Summit alongside the UN conference in New York. I think it's on the 22nd. He's also talking a lot about that. Maybe IBMA can be a part of that. And even before that, I was talking to a gentleman in real estate, and the main topic or word that came up was value addition. So just that one word by itself, value addition, can create a lot of paths for innovation. So just by itself, there's so many ways to add value to the product that we are producing, especially in agriculture and all those other sectors that the good doctor mentioned in the blue economy. Blue economy right now is very big in Kenya. The minister is doing a tremendous job in the blue economy. The forest economy is another big area that we've not mentioned, and of course these crops that we use as our staple foods that we have not mentioned. This is whole areas that and since the IBMA is going to be in 2026, we have a lot of time, obviously, to get back here and tackle maybe these topics one at a time, or break them down, make agricultural agrotech good again. We give it a fancy name so we can attract these young people to realize that this is about them. So my two quick questions are: what strategies are in place to engage the Gen Z in agricultural sciences and sustainable food practices through conferences like IBMA? And the other one is, how can we inspire Gen Z to become future leaders in agricultural innovation and food security efforts? So one for you, Doctor, and one for you, Isaac, and then you can tell us how IBMA will be obviously talking about some of these issues.
Thank you, George. I'll begin with IBMA. So the IBMA, in collaboration with the Food Security Consortium, the University of Rwanda, River State University, among other entities, we are going to host the conference at the Boardwalk Hotel, which is in Port Elizabeth. The conference is going to be from the 8th to the 11th of March 2026. So we are already curating the program. We are adding different leaders, be it local leaders in South Africa, international leaders, business people, researchers. So we are basically picking the right people who are already running some of the visible agribusiness models to come share with us, but also to forge connections that after the conference, what are we going to do with the knowledge that has been gained, and continue even connecting people across the continent. We've been lucky, we've seen some case studies whereby people doing well, we've had the USA diaspora attend our conference. Some have actually relocated in Rwanda because of IBMA. We've seen people, universities connecting, which has been amazing. And you're talking about the youth, the question you did mention. In 2024, we came up with a program called the Youth Program, and we picked 15 top students, agribusiness innovators. So each university was given a criteria, and they selected the top 15 students. And those students were able to participate in the conference, and we provided an exhibition stand. We later looked at some of the funding organizations at the time. So they were able to come, network, they were giving feedback, and it was basically a process of confidence building, but also to show them the possibilities that are involved into the agribusiness space. So we later did an interview with those students together with the University of Rwanda, and we were impressed by some of the opportunities that they gained from the conference. One, some were able to receive funding. Two, many of them proceeded to attend conferences, because we go to conferences to be able to network. If I go to a high-level event, maybe I would never meet some of the leaders on our continent, but because they are at the conference, you're able to network, you're able to build confidence. Some you're able to secure funding. So this is a program we are continuing to run. Even in South Africa, on the program we have a youth program, and we are building this and looking for a sponsor for this program. So really our objectives that we are going to continue pushing the agenda, building these ideas. Yeah, Rome was never built in one day. And now so, and also networking with people like you who have spaces to share this, but not to only produce but to also learn, because we've been able to learn a lot through this journey. We've faced a lot of challenges. We've become resilient. We've been able to navigate, continue moving. And we also, myself, every place that I go, I say that I thank God for even the opportunities to keep with this energy, breathing, meeting the right people. So this is how we are continuing to impact our space. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very good answer, and how the youth can innovate in this agricultural space. So I'll leave the last word to Dr. Ikechi Abuba. Take us away.
Don't worry, my name. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So thank you very much. Regarding the last response from Kagara, it's also in line, of course, with the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs I had mentioned, they love to see a more scientific and technologically driven system. That is what gives them that pat on the back to consider investing in agriculture. But I was happy that during COVID, there was a paradigm shift. There was a lot happened because of of course, you have to eat, so, and lots of people, medical doctors, I had even said it before COVID. I remember I said it before, that I'm foreseeing a future where a lot of people who are lawyers, professionals, will come back to agriculture to invest, because it's a real sector. And of course, food is from agriculture is one of the life priority needs. Yeah. So, and coming back to inspiring the Gen Zs for agricultural innovation, of course, there is in this platform, the IBMA will definitely showcase, talk about modern, technological driven and impact focused aspects. We have one of our PhD committee members. He is from India. He's Diptanu. Dr. Diptanu is a force to reckon with. Why I'm very happy with it is that, of course, India is part of the global south, and there's a lot going on around that also. And those conferences, which are the lovely professional university, and some of those at the Pondicherry in India, has also given us that credence, and we borrowed a lot of it from India. Yeah, so highlighting career opportunities is also a major part for the Gen Zs. There are lots of career opportunities for them, which they don't even know. In sustainable agriculture, in food systems, emphasizing on positive impacts on society. And we know about issues on sustainability. And so, creating youth forums and platforms for collaboration. Talking about cooperative, I wanted to talk about cooperatives, forming cooperatives for smallholder farmers. That can also be a way of transforming the smallholder farmers, their outcomes, the revenue for them. Yeah, and that could also ensure that the government will give them attention. When they come as a team, when they come together as a formidable force, they become a voice, one voice. And I'm happy that the One Voice Consortium is also interviewing us today. And going also talking again about highlighting on innovation. Innovation is very important, creativity. And you mentioned value addition. I remember you mentioned value, adding value in a value chain. There are options. I mentioned cassava because cassava is very, it's an interesting crop. It's a crop that's synonymous to Africa. We consume cassava a lot, and all over Africa. You mentioned yams. Yams is even a neglected crop. We have neglected crops in Africa. Underutilized crops, we have them. We have underutilized crops. So how are we profiling them? How are we presenting them as an opportunity for investing? There are crops which I have been in seminars where students are presenting, telling us that this crop, which are getting extinct, there are crops getting extinct, they have been tested. They can help to mitigate diabetes, to drive diabetes away, eradicate different diseases. I'm telling you, crops, from the crops that God has given to us. Are we utilizing it? Going back to Genesis, when God said that we should eat herbs. Eating meats became an afterthought. We were told to eat herbs. So now we are talking about the crops subsector of agriculture, and that subsector is the sector that contributes even more. The percentage contribution of the crop subsector to the GDP of every nation is always significant, before the livestock, before the forest, and before the fisheries. And what happens if those indices for measuring economic growth, which is the GDP, and then if it can trickle down to the concerns of people? When Kagara was speaking, I really respect Kagara. He spoke a lot on that. Going back to that aspect of education, talking about healthcare. Is it trickling down to healthcare? Is it trickling down to food security? Food security is not just eating. Talks about 4 areas. Availability of food. How many people are accessing food? How many people are utilizing food? Which takes us to the 3 pillars, and then the 4th pillar is stability, sufficiency of food, sustainability. Is food. Food is not just to be eaten just like that. Food is safe, nutritious food, and that is also tantamount. It actually has a ripple effects on the health and longevity, and that is why the International Conference of Business Models in Agriculture is here again with its 4th edition, to tell the world that we are here again. We are not just here. We are not just saying we are here, but we are here to move on this agenda, monetizing agriculture, that farmers are now, very important. We work with them. We also work with the media, like the Radio Maju and the rest. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you're just joining us, we are on our tail end of Amande Maju, the voice of diaspora, where we go #Beyond Diaspora, and have had the pleasure of having my 2 guests here, my esteemed Dr. Professor Ikechi Abuba, all the way in Nigeria. I want to say Lagos, but I could be wrong. And of course, President Isaac Kagara, president of AOTA, joining us live in Rwanda, Kigali. I want to say Kigali, but I could be wrong. But he's in Rwanda down there. And of course, I'm in Maryland. I'm your host, George Gichobi. And if you're joining us, this is Radio Maju. I would be remiss to say if I didn't mention about the Gen Z one more time. We had a very big Gen Z uprising in Kenya in 2024, and it was all about a financial bill. Financial bill which was punitive, and they didn't like it, and they were telling the government that the cost of living is already too high. You want to tax us to death. So it was about the economy. It was about money. It was about financial stability. So which brings us right back to what we're talking about right now as one of the ways to help the youth advance or use their creativity to join this movement, to realize that they're actually sitting on the gold mine where they are. They don't have to go fighting their own government. They don't have to go fighting their neighbors, but they can sit down come up with great ideas, innovative ideas, especially under the IBMA. See, come into communities. Kenya has this culture of circles. These are societies that people come together. So like they could have a circle for the matatu industry, the transport industry, a circle for small business, women's groups, all come together in a circle, and they form like this group that helps each other. So that's another vehicle that they could actually use in this fight to bring agriculture to the forefront and make it the beacon or the shining beacon that's gonna actually alleviate and help the youth of Africa and the people of Africa rise up. Thank you so much, Dr. Ikechi. Thank you so much, Isaac Agara. I know this is a very big and broad topic. I'm glad it's in the IBMA is going to be in 2026, so we have a lot of time to bring in more guests, to bring in more topics, to discuss more ideas. If I come across something that I think will be helpful, I'll definitely want to share it, bring you guys back and share it with you and see how we can move the needle forward. It's been such fun. Thank you so much. Unless you want to add something else, it's been my pleasure. And like we say in Kenya, thank you very much. Asante sana.
Maju, 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 maju.